Folks, welcome back to episode 758 of WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS. We've got a great discussion about a new block library for Gutenberg and an editor. It's called Maxiblocks. We've got Christiaan with us, who's got really pumped up to discuss this great new library. I also got my co-host, Kirk, with me. So, Kirk, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers, Kurt?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan. My name is Kurt Van Anen. I own a small agency called Mañana No Mas, where we get things done on time and under budget.
That's great. We're going to be discussing with Christiaan everything about Maxiblocks, why they decided they're going to enter this particular market, what they think they're offering through this block library, what do they think of Gutenberg in general, how they see it going forth. It should be a great discussion. But before we go into the main meat and potatoes of this great interview, we've got a couple of messages from our major sponsors. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back, folks. I also like to point out, if you're looking to host with a real WordPress hosting provider that's got real experience, let's be frank about it, folks. If you're a WordPress professional, most of your hosting providers really promise the world and underperform. But if you've got a great client and you're looking for a great partner in the WordPress hosting space, go over to WP-Tonic, have a look what we got to offer, and go over to WP-Tonic/partners and sign up there, and you get a fantastic deal if you partnership with WP-Tonic. So let's go straight into the main part of the interview then. Christiaan, so maybe you can give us a quick intro about yourself and about Maxiblocks in general.
Sure. My name is Christiaan Pieterse. I'm the co-founder of Maxiblocks along with my partner Kyra. We've been in WordPress since 2012. My wife was a web designer. She started in 1998, so she's been doing web design for a long time. Initially, we started as a web design agency. Then we made the transition to selling products, specifically templates online in the Divi niche. And then when Gutenberg came along, we saw an interesting opportunity to try and make the switch and make templates for Gutenberg. And that's what we did. We started Maxiblocks 3 years ago, and we've just done the final bits. We've just gotten into the repo. So here I am telling you about it.
So you've been developing it consistently or as a kind of on and off for 3 years, or has it been maybe give us some insight about, so you've been, how many hours do you think you and your team have spent developing this?
A lot. Three years consistently. We're a team of 10 people and we work remote. We've got people all over the globe, and we've been developing this plugin for literally 3 years. It's a huge amount of work in Gutenberg to develop a page builder, I'm sure, as you know. So 3 years, a massive amount of time we've put into it to get it to this point.
So have you, before we go on to the next question, have you bootstrapped this or did you get outside investment?
Definitely bootstrapped. We have an existing business which is selling web templates or a template library inside of the Divi niche. And obviously along with that funding, we've bootstrapped Maxiblocks to get to where we are now. We've made a big effort to not take funding. well, you don't know whether your product's going to be successful or not in the beginning, and we believe in our own capacities more than anything else. So we knew that if we bootstrapped it, we'll have a good chance of success, and that's what we've pushed for.
Wow, fantastic! So over to you, Kurt. Oh, you're muted, Kurt.
You know, that irritating trash truck went by, so I turned off the microphone for you fine people. As you develop something like that, Christiaan, what are kind of like the main obstacles or the main issues in building through WordPress and getting something like that done? 3 years sounds like a lot. Yes,
and we had to rebuild many things throughout the process because Gutenberg keeps changing. So it's been a challenge. Every time Gutenberg brings something out, we have to adapt and move into something new. And we have a lot of experience with building products previously, and you just have to adapt and go with the flow. So when you get to a point and you go, this isn't really working, or you test it out and you try it out and then you go, that wasn't really the right way to do it. Then you have to go back to the drawing board and start from the beginning. So this was exactly what we did with our responsive. We have 6 responsive breakpoints, and we had to literally go back and rebuild everything. It took us about 6 months to do that, and now it's fully integrated. So we're really happy with that result at the end. Some of the challenges with Gutenberg is new technology can be a real challenge. Adapting your workflow to do a lot of testing, you just have to keep adapting and go with the flow. I mean, do you have any specific questions that you'd like to ask on that topic? Then I can answer them for you.
Kind of. I mean, I was just kind of taken back with the answer that you gave to Jonathan's original question with the time and the hours and the team. Yes. But I guess that would lead to the next question, which is, what are the key differences between your block library and maybe some of the competitors in that space?
Yeah. So when we set out to build Maxiblocks, our goal was to solve support problems that we have in our existing business. As I mentioned before, we have a Divi product and we get a lot of support requests. There's a constant stream, and we try and solve these support problems. One of them that comes up regularly is people ask, how do I change the color of X? Which is a common question that comes up. So within the existing fold, we have to get a little bit creative to build the exciting layouts that we like to do. And that was one of the questions that we were trying to solve with Maxiblocks. So the way that we built the templates and the style card solution that we got to that was to solve this question, how do I change the color of X? So I'll get back to the style cards a little bit later. The next question that people ask is, what happens when I cancel? So people want to know if they subscribe to a library, what happens to the stuff that I install and when I cancel? Do I lose my work? Do I lose access? Do the blocks change? Do you limit features? Do I get less websites? Do I get less sites? What happens with the API key? Things like that when I cancel. So that's a common question that people have. And then the other question that people have when it relates to templates is, how do I customize them? And can I mix different templates together to build a website? So when we set out to build Maxiblocks, those were the 3 main things that we had to focus on. Was first, build a template library, and to be able to build a template library, we had to build a builder. So we made a complete page builder in order to build advanced designs, and it was sort of an organic process. When we started this project, we thought, oh, okay, we'll just make a nice little builder and see how it goes, and it just kept getting bigger, and it just kept stretching, and we just kept thinking we're coming up with new ideas and adding new things, and we know that there's an audience and a market for web templates. So we just knew that we had to just keep pushing and developing, and every time we push out a new update internally over the last 3 years, we are getting excited about our own product, that wow, this is cool, this builds easily, and we know that other people will like it as a result.
Cool. So the main difference, it really is kind of like the level of support that you can bring to the table when someone signs in.
Let me say it the other way around. Solving this, in other words, we built a product that solves our support problems.
Gotcha.
And so when it comes to the development, how have we built our blocks and why did we build it in specific ways, is to solve those support problems. So at the end of the day, the answer is it's really easy to change colors in Maxiblocks.
Yeah, what I think you're saying is, I'm going to put this to you and see if you agree with this, is that one of the criticism of native Gutenberg is not so much some of its core power and functionality. Some of the consistent criticism of it has been in UX design, which is linked to usability, which is linked to support and confusion and ease of use. So I think what you're suggesting, but you can confirm this, is that you feel that you've spent a lot of time on UX and design, and you think you got a core product that is fundamentally easier to use in some ways. Would that be correct?
Exactly. Thanks for answering that one for me.
Well, that's fine. I'll send the consultation check to you after the interview, but sorry. So let's go on to the next question. I think it's really interesting that your main business is in the Divi ecosystem and community. What I've always been impressed with the founder of Divi and Divi's team, because I think they have a real fundamental understanding of what their audience is, and that was one of the key factors to their success. So, in your own mind, what do you think is the key target audience with your own library and your own new exciting product?
I would say anyone that's familiar with using any kind of page builder should just give Maxiblocks a try. And I mean it in an honest way. Just give it a try and decide for yourself what you think of it. So the audience would be wide. It would be anyone who works with templates, or anyone who wants to build a website from scratch. Obviously, we have a builder and we have to build the templates. So there's two parts to it. There's the builder component, if you want to build items from scratch, which our library developers use in order to build the templates. And then there's the template library, which you can download the items from the cloud and install it on your website, and then just update the styles and the colors, pick a style card, and you have the full style right there.
So I'm presuming from this that you're really aiming this at the freelance WordPress agency market, really, your focus.
And end users. And well, when
that would be everybody. Then we would be looking almost at everybody, wouldn't we? So
I know, and I agree with you. And this is a question we've asked ourselves many times. With Gutenberg, as it stands already, you have to get people that are already willing to just break the mold a little bit. They have to be adventurous to want to go and try it. So indirectly, we already fall into that adventurous category. But because we build the templates ourselves, and we sell them on to people that build websites with it, or people who want to update themes, etc. It does work for both. We've genuinely tried to make it work.
I was giving you a little bit of a rough ride there. You could say that about Divi. Divi definitely, in my opinion, is aimed at the freelancer, the designer. To my own mind, it's not aimed so much at the developer, hardcore WordPress developer market. They probably would traditionally go with something like Studio Press or something like that. So it's more the design, ease of layout, power user market. So I presume that. So would I be correct that in your heart that you're probably going a little bit aiming at the Divi community?
Not really. I think the audience is so huge, and specifically with Gutenberg, it's made it more accessible to the average person. And it's kind of, we don't really know. We just know from our own experience from using the product and the few people, well, when I say few, I mean quite a few, who's done the beta testing, and the feedback we've gotten from them so far has been fantastic. People have said, wow, this is really amazing. I like how easy it is to get things done. I like how easy it is to switch the styles with the style card. I think once you install it and you download a couple of patterns from the library and you test it for yourself, you'll really see it's the kind of thing that you need to experience to really make a comparison between the different products. Continue?
Yeah, sure. Before I throw it over to Kirk for the next question, the only thing that occurs to me, you're up against some heavy established players. You're up against Cadence, you're up against Spectre and Spectre Pro that's coming up. You've got the Divi have transforming themselves, or have, into a Gutenberg-based library. So if people were looking at these three other players and they were looking at yours, and then you've got other Gutenberg-based block libraries out there, what would be the one thing you think that a user would get excited about from the experience that they wouldn't get from Spectre or Cadence?
The library. The template library that we have, 100%. The speed, I haven't even spoken about the icons yet. We've got 13,000 icons that were hand-drawn by my partner Cairo, who's the designer. Those are SVGs. They drop onto the page when you insert them. They all change color automatically with your style card the second you switch it. So this frustration that people have of how do I change the icon colors, I need to download the file, stick it into a software program, do that, that's completely solved. So in what we do differently is the advanced designs that you can build, and you simply have to look at the template library to see what can be done. So that's really what we do differently, I would say, is the quality of the layouts that you can build and the number of responsive breakpoints that you can do. So we test in 6 different responsive breakpoints.
That's fantastic. I think we're going to go for our mid-break, and then I'm going to throw it over to Kirk. We will be back in a few moments. We'll see you soon, folks.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Back, folks. It's been a fantastic discussion about this new, really fascinating Gutenberg-based block editor and library and templates and themes. Before we go on with the discussion, I just want to point out that we've got some great special offers from our sponsors, plus a curated list of the best plugins that can solve any problem that you're having with a client, or instead of you having to scroll the internet, we've got a lovely curated list of the leading ones, all tested by myself and by my team. To get all these goodies, go over to WP-Tonic/deals, WP-Tonic/deals. Over to you, Kurt. You're muted again, Kurt.
Apologies. It's almost like a follow-up for me, Christiaan. I was looking at some of the libraries and the features listed on the Maxiblocks page, and I was kind of drawn to the idea of the style card, but then you also have it was the block tone editor. I thought that was pretty interesting. Could you kind of explain to listeners kind of what that's really doing and what the difference there is in a standard Gutenberg setup versus Maxiblock?
Sure. When you're building a page, so first we had to do the patterns, which is headers, footers, hero sections, testimonials. All of these patterns come together to build a complete page. Normally, when you build a page from top to bottom, sometimes you need to swap out different sections with others, and to create contrast from one section to the next, you change the tone of that section. Now, what happens when you have a page in sequence and all of a sudden in the middle of the page you change and you put in a different image and it requires you to have a different tone? Then you have to update everything on the page in sequential order so that the page would work. Otherwise, you don't have the contrast. So what we came up with as a solution was that every pattern in the library has an opposite tone. So you have light tones and dark tones. So no matter where you insert a pattern on a page, if the tone isn't right, you can just switch the tone. And everything, it just works. So we do all the hard work in the back end to make it work that way. When you load it, you can just switch the block tone.
Excellent. Thanks for bringing that full circle for me. The next question that we had was, whenever you're launching a new startup, there's always that finding your audience, or how do you promote that new product? How do you get it out? What in your words has been like the most successful avenue for you to try and break the surface with Maxiblocks and get it in front of people?
At this point, step one was to get the product built and make sure that it's an amazing product, because if it's not a good product, no one's going to use it. And also, at this point, we've already built a library of almost 1,200 items. So by building it, we prove that the product works, number one. So we know the product works, we've optimized it ourselves, etc. So that was step one, get the product to work. Step two was get it into the WordPress repo so everyone can access it. There's the credibility that goes with it. And then, now we just have to take it to the next step, which is do podcasts like I'm doing now with you guys. And then the next step most likely will be to do a little bit of advertising. We're not quite sure yet exactly what we're going to do. So maybe you can give us some advice from your experience. What do you think might be a good avenue for us to take? Obviously, we'll do SEO, and we want people to share the product. That's really important. And of course, SEO has changed already lately. So what suggestions do you have?
Well, obviously, sponsor leading WordPress podcast.
There you go.
Obviously, I'm going to say that, aren't I? I'm not biased, am I? Let's go on to the next question. So it's been a long journey, for understandable reasons, because, to be serious for a moment, Gutenberg has been a moving target. So developing something like this, and also dealing with the fundamental changes in Gutenberg, which I am very supportive of Gutenberg. Some people in the WordPress community really have marked me out as a negative individual around Gutenberg, but I'm not actually. I just feel that it's been a bit of a long-winded road, but I'm not trying to build something so disruptive on a moving train. So it's easy for me to criticize, but I'm not doing the engineering work. So if you had a time machine, Doctor Who, the TARDIS, if you had your time machine and you could go back to the start of this project, what would be some of the things you wished you knew that you could tell yourself?
Wow, that's a good one. Assume that it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take. That's one thing. I mean, but we know this from working in development before. But my partner, Kyra, says, if we knew what we were getting ourselves into, we would never have started this project. But building on it and seeing what it turned into over time through iterative development, now we really love it, and we're extremely happy that we've built it. And you have to find a way to fund it, especially if you're doing a project like this in the beginning. You have to bootstrap it. It's so difficult. It's such a moving market. You just have to bootstrap it. So the suggestions I can make to people is just try. Go ahead and test something, research it, and just go for it. That's the best advice I can give people. Keep experimenting and just keep finding solutions to problems. And make sure that you're building a product that people want. We know we're building a product that people want because of our experience with selling web templates in another business. And we've also built a product to solve our own problem, which is the support problems that we have. So from that perspective, we know that there will be an audience for what we're doing.
That's great. I think we're gonna end the podcast part of the show. Are you okay to keep on? Because me and Kurt got a few more questions.
Yes,
that'd be great. You can listen to the rest of this interview on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. We call it after. Well, I forgot what we call it. But you can listen to the whole interview and the extra material, like I say, on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that as well. It really encourages us to continue with the podcast and the videos on the YouTube channel. So, Christiaan, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and Maxiblocks?
Sure. From the website, Maxiblocks.com. That's one word, Maxibblocks.com. And then you can find us on Twitter at Maxiblocks, or you can find us on YouTube as well, Maxiblocks at Maxiblocks. And then, of course, in the WordPress repo, if you just search for Maxiblocks, you can go there, download the plugin, and give it a try. That would be awesome. And please let us know what you think. Get onto live chat on our website or inside of the plugin and just talk to us. We'd love to hear what you think of it and what we can do to improve it.
That's great. And Kirk, how can people find out more about you and what you are up to?
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. And I'm the only Kurt Von Annen on LinkedIn, so I'm easy to find. You know you got the right one when you find me. So look me up on LinkedIn, hit the connect button, and we'll connect on a short call. Or anything Mañana No Mas online is typically mine. So I'd love to see you there.
Oh, thanks. So we're going to wrap the podcast part of the show, folks. Go over to the YouTube channel and watch the other parts of this great interviews, our after hours session. We'll be back next week with another great guest, or our end of month roundtable show, which is always fun to do. We will see you soon, folks. Bye. So getting Maxiblocks into the I forgot, my mind's going blank. Now getting it into the library, the WordPress.com. How difficult has that been in process?
Not that difficult if the actual submission part, but doing the preparation beforehand, that was obviously a challenge. But we knew from the beginning, before we attempted the project, that we had to follow the protocols. So we spent a lot of time reading through the developer handbook and making sure that everything that we develop, spend our precious money on and time on developing, had to be okay to go into the repo. So we've really focused on that. We've had to change a lot of things, like, for example, the template library itself has to use the WordPress API in order to load the templates. But that's also, we see that as future-proofing for the product. So at the end of the day, it's working really well. All I can say is just try it, and you'll see what I mean when you compare it to others.
Over to you, Kurt.
I just from looking at the website and looking at the different options, I wonder how is Maxiblocks something that somebody needs to do like on a fresh website, or if they have a pre-existing kind of integrated website with lots of other tools and stuff, would adding Maxiblocks be almost a deterrent? Like, I don't want to say a bad thing, but
yes,
is it almost too much of a distraction on an existing project, or is it best used on a new, fresh project?
What I would say in the beginning, while we're just getting started, and with Gutenberg being such a new technology, I would recommend doing it on a new project. That would be the best way to go about it in the beginning, because there's so many things that you might want to try and get a hang of. One of the decisions we made in the beginning was to not build it as a theme, but to build it as a plugin, exactly for that reason, that you could install it with another theme and use it that way. And also with full site editing, the plugin can perform that role too. But there's a certain audience who prefer to install a theme. So it's important for us to have both. So we have Maxiblocks as a plugin, and we also have the Maxiblocks theme, which we're developing concurrently, which will then have full integration with full site editing and the plugin and the theme and the templates. The number one goal was to get the plugin out, which we've got now. We're looking at a launch of the Pro library, which will be next week, or by the time you listen to this podcast. I expect it would be live. I hope so. So that's what I would say. In the beginning, try it on new projects, and once we have a bigger user base and we get more familiar with how it interacts with all the other things through support, then it might be a good time to start using bits and pieces and see how that goes for you.
Nice. Jonathan, I should pass it back to you.
I think your last reply to Kirk was interesting when you said Gutenberg's a new project. Well, isn't that the crux of the problem? It's a project that's been going for almost over 3 years. Have you got any thoughts and insights about Gutenberg in general?
It's an open source project, which means that it comes in bits and pieces. And I mean, if you think about WordPress, I mean, when did WordPress arrive? I think that was in 2003 or 2001. I'm not sure the exact date. So there's been a huge amount of time that have gone into improving the product and making it better. And also, you know, when it comes to Gutenberg specifically, it's a completely different technology. It's built on React. It happens in the browser. There's different testing methods and methodologies. I think also in general, the web and browsers and plugins and everything has become significantly more complex than it was just 5 years ago. So when you think about Gutenberg, it has to accommodate so many more things from so many more directions and be compatible with so many more things. So I think from that perspective, that's why it's taking longer. And it's a challenge to develop in the beginning because it's a moving target. You know, so I think from that perspective too, that's why there hasn't been that many big competitors and completely polished products, because people sort of just hold back just a little bit to see what's happening before they make decisions. In our case, we've had to rebuild stuff. And, you know, for us, we're bootstrapping it and we're building it.
Yeah, but isn't there's a consequence to this, isn't there? Energy that could have, you know, if you had decided, like full site editing, you know, that's been introduced. Could you argued that you needed a cut-off line and provided some stability and maybe offered some of the other more bleeding technology in a plugin? But the consequence of moving the core of Gutenberg onto, which you've seen in 6.2, which has got some fabulous new functionality, but there's some consequences to that, is that a lot of energy in the WordPress larger community has been utilized just to deal with the changes in Gutenberg rather than being able to concentrate those resources in building better products for the betterment of the entire community. Is that making sense?
In some way, yes. In another way, I would say that sometimes you need to put something out there to get the feedback from people in order to make it better. It's an iterative process, and yes, it's disruptive for a certain audience. And I think the way that WordPress has done it is they've always said you don't need to use it, or use a classic theme if that's where you want to go, or if you want to attempt the new thing, go for the new thing and use it. I think the options are there, despite the fact that some people might say it goes a bit bumpy and it's not going as smoothly as you expect it to, or the audience is massive. Yeah. The WordPress audience is huge. Yeah, it's impossible to please everyone. That's the reality of the situation. And in that big audience also lies the benefit in being able to put the product out, let the people that are willing to try it, and improve it through an iterative process. So I can see both sides.
Yeah, over to you, Kurt.
I'm actually just kind of excited about it. I don't mean to be like a rah-rah kind of person out of the chute, because I haven't had a chance to try it yet. But I've looked at the site. I've looked at the offering on the repo. To me, having used the Gutenberg editor and Astra starter templates and Spectra and all those things, it's like, as a developer or as an implementer, you find you have to plug in all these extra tools to get Gutenberg to do what you want it to do. And it seems like you're kind of coming to this party with like, hey, just put this plugin in, and it answers here's the starter template, here's the blocks, the patterns. I really like the idea of what we talked about with changing the mood, the tone for the areas. I'm looking forward to trying that. So I'm cautiously excited. I want to see what's new, how it works, and how it goes. With that, you mentioned in one of your answers coming out with a pro version. What does the evolution look like for you in going pro, and what's the advantage of a pro version versus just signing up through the repo?
Making some money.
I was gonna get the avenue to revenue here, but I didn't want to be so.
We have to earn an income, obviously. So that comes back to what I spoke about previously about what happens when I cancel. When you lock certain pieces of blocks, you lock functionality, then if you can't renew, then you lose that functionality. To me, I find that extremely frustrating. Personally, I hate it when when I can't pay for something because of whatever the reason is. I don't want to renew, or it's too expensive, or someone raised the price on me, and then all of a sudden, the website that I built for a customer, it doesn't work anymore. Or I have to go and upgrade. I have to go and pay more in order to get it to upgrade. So from the beginning, we made the decision and said that everything inside of Maxiblocks, the builder itself, the thing that helps you to build websites, everything is available for free. You don't have to worry about pieces being locked or API keys that you have to track or anything like that, which removes that fear of what happens when they raise the price on me, or what happens when I cancel, am I going to lose it? That frustrates the thing that stops me from using this product in the first place is what happens when they cancel on me or they raise the price. That's a real fear for people, especially in difficult times. That's a reason why you wouldn't choose a product. So we set out to say that all the builder components will always be free, and then how are we going to make money out of it at the end of the day was to sell a pro library, because we have the experience in building advanced layouts. Also, by building the layouts ourselves, we prove that the product works. We test the product ourselves, because you purchase the layouts from us, or you purchase the pro library in which you can download the items, and they have to work. We have to prove that they work. Otherwise, you're not going to pay us for the library. So it's a symbiotic relationship at the end of the day, is that we make patterns that if you want to save time or you want to get advanced designs, you go for the pro library and you download those items, you build whatever you need to build. At the end, you just log out of the plugin, and whatever patterns are installed continue to update indefinitely and function exactly the same. Or if you're an experienced developer, you can just install the plugin and build exactly the same high quality layouts, if you have the skills, yourself, for free, forever. And you have to never worry about it. So that was our approach.
Nice. Jonathan, back over to you, sir.
Yeah, last kind of question. Where, obviously you're part of the Divi community. What's your thoughts about the direction that Divi is taking? And do you see it, do you see it as a competitor, or, he is a competitor, but where do you think they're going?
I think it's great that they are updating what they're doing. So they're busy with a rebuild process for Divi 5. They've made a decision to keep it private, at least as far as I know, that they're not going to go into the WordPress repo. They have specific plans and goals, and they have a massive audience, as you know already. So with regard to the decision they made, and I think they already partly built on React, I think that's the future of where the web is moving at this point, is in React, and it happens in the browser. You can just do more things. So for them, I mean, they're updating and will continue making products for Divi and that existing audience. And concurrently, we're just doing something by ourselves to stand on our own feet. Yes, they are a competitor in the sense that there's a competitor for every builder in the marketplace, but I've yet to see many people that switch from Divi to Gutenberg. There doesn't seem to be a big crossover at this point.
I think you've made a really fascinating point there. It's going to be really interesting to see that. And I think you've made a really great point there. But I think, I think there's a place for professional tools, block libraries, editor, and Elementor has got its own trajectory and user base. I think other full-page builder plugin, not based in Gutenberg, the WordPress community in general, a certain niche of implementers and that seem to be fascinated with all these different I was on a forum, a Facebook group a few days ago, and people were recommending Oxygen to people trying to build a learning management a course, and they were honestly recommending Oxygen, and I just wanted to get the gun out and shoot myself because that's awful advice as far as I'm concerned. But everybody's got their opinion, haven't they? I don't expect you to respond to that because I don't.
No, I'd like to. I mean, everyone has a different skill level. When you start out and when you recommend a product, especially if it's online, you generally recommend the product that you are most familiar with or most comfortable with. That might not necessarily be the best recommendation for someone that's just starting out. And I think this is one of the things that's been critical for Gutenberg, is that it makes it more accessible to the average person. And when it comes to page builders, they've had a lot of time to do all the stuff, which is responsive and theme builder and headers and footers and all the other stuff that they've developed over time. Gutenberg hasn't done that yet in a polished form. There's very good signs with full site editing and where it's going, but the market is massive. I think there's a space for everyone in what we're doing. So I'm genuinely not worried about competing with other people or them competing with us. I mean, it will all play out in the right way. So I think we all just need to go out and do our thing and see what happens.
Right. Thank you for that. I think we're going to wrap up now this great interview. Thank you so much, Christiaan. It's going to be a great chat. And we will be back next week with another, I think it's our roundtable show next week, actually, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye.